Welcome to the CWI Part C practice questions, where I discuss the different questions that may come out of the CWI Part C exam. In this series, I will discuss the answers and the explanation to these answers and the clauses in which they can be found in the API 1104. This series will feature the API 1104 2021 edition, as you can see here. So these are 5 sets of CWI Part C questions for API 1104 that will help your preparation during that part of the CWI exam. So without further ado, let's get started.
During qualification of an in-service for branch and longitudinal seam welds, when should the face bends be tested? A. As soon as possible after welding. B. Within 24 hours after welding. C. 24 hours or more after welding. D. No sooner than 48 hours after welding. E. While the weld is still warm. So the question here refers to when the specimen must be tested. And as stated here in the weld qualification of in-service welding, by the way, this question refers to the testing of welded joints done by in-service welding. The specimen must not be cut, machined, or tested destructively less than 24 hours after welding, as you can see here. So this gives the answer here as letter C. In this clause, there is no limitation as to when after 24 hours must the weld be tested. It just imposed a limitation that the weld must not be tested earlier than 24 hours. So the reason here is that the heat input during welding may still affect the mechanical properties of the weld metal. So the answer here is letter C. The qualification of in-service welds for branch and longitudinal seam welds must be tested 24 hours or more after welding, as specified in the aforementioned clause. In-service welds that contact the carrier pipe may be particularly susceptible to each of the following. Letter A, porosity. Letter B, tungsten inclusion. Letter C, cracking. Letter D, lack of fusion. Letter E, cold lap. So this question now pertains to the effect of in-service welds that are in contact with the carrier pipe. So these pipes are the ones transporting the liquids or gases. That's the definition of a carrier pipe, which you can see here. So though this note here specifically pertains to longitudinal weld, the answer can be referred here in this note. So the penetration of the longitudinal groove seam weld into the carrier pipe is undesirable since any crack that might develop is exposed to the hoop stress in the carrier pipe. So though the question refers to the longitudinal groove seam weld, the question here is if in-service welds are done to the carrier pipe, what is it susceptible to? So the answer here is very clear that it will be subjected to cracking. So this is the reason why penetration in the groove seam weld is not allowed for the carrier pipe without a backing strip, as also stated here. So this joint should be fitted with a mild steel backup strip or suitable tape to prevent penetration of the weld into the carrier pipe. So the answer here is letter C, cracking. A company may authorize weld cracks to be repaired provided the crack is less than blank of the weld length. Letter A, 8%. Letter B, 12.5%. Letter C, 1/6. Letter D, 5/32. Letter E, a company cannot authorize weld crack repairs. So this question can be referred to in the procedure on how to do crack repairs. In general, repair and removal of weld defects can be seen under Chapter 10 of API 1104. As you can see in this clause 10.2.3, crack repairs. Cracks can be repaired if the length or aggregate length of more than one crack is greater than 8% of the weld length. The length of a crack is the longest dimension regardless of the orientation. As you can see in this clause 10.2.3, Part A, a weld with a crack defect as defined in this clause shall be cut out when the length of a crack, single crack, or the aggregate length of more than one crack is greater than 8% of the weld length. Meaning, if the crack is greater than 8% of the weld length, the weld shall be cut out. It shall not be repaired anymore. So, the limitation here is 8% of the weld length. If the crack is less than 8% of the weld length, then it can be repaired. So based from the choices, since the question refers to if it is less than blank of the weld length, then so the answer in this question is letter A. Because if it is less than 8% of the weld length, then the company can authorize that the weld cracks can be repaired. Otherwise, if it is greater than 8%, then the weld shall be cut out already.
By the way, I just want to take a break from the video and remind you of the free Udemy course that I've put in the description down below. So it composes of CWI Part A lectures, the introduction for welding inspectors. So you can check out the description below for that free Udemy course. Now back to the video.
Individual hollow bead discontinuity shall be considered a defect if two HB indication exceeding blank in length are separated by less than 2 inches or 50 mm. Letter A, 50 mm. Letter B, 25 mm. Letter C, 13 mm. Letter D, 6 mm. Letter E, not specified. API 1104 has sections of discontinuities and their criteria when they will be considered as a defect. This one is for hollow bead porosity. By the way, HB refers to hollow bead porosity. Since the problem stated that if two HB indications are separated by blank inches, will it be considered a defect? Letter C of this criteria mentions that the aggregate length of all indications of HB exceeds 8% of the weld length, meaning if this criteria is met, then it shall be considered as a defect now. So in this question, it was not specified the weld length in any shape or form. So the answer here is letter E. If you interpret the problem, you cannot see here the weld length. That should be the indication of that should be the criteria for basing the acceptable limit of the length of indication for these two hollow bead porosity. We cannot identify it since it was not given in the question. So the answer here is letter E. Which of the following changes would require procedure requalification if toughness tests are not required? Letter A, change in heat input more than 20%. Letter B, change from rolled to fixed welding position. Letter C, a change from one filler metal group to another. Letter D, any of the above. Letter E, only B and C above. Variables requiring procedure requalification pertains to the essential variables, meaning if these variables are changed, then you will need another qualification of the weld for that specific welding procedure specification. These variables can directly affect the mechanical properties of the weld in general. Table 1 of API 1104 here lists all these variables. As you can see here, it is stated here as essential variables. There are two categories here. The standard WPS refers to the procedure that will not require toughness test here. The standard WPS, it will not require toughness test. And this one, category 2, refers to the criteria in which toughness tests may be required. So you can check each of the choices here. So for the first one, the heat input here, this one, 5.4.2.8, letter C. So if toughness tests are not required, so meaning in this one, it is not marked here as an essential variable. So if that is the case, then this variable will not require requalification should the heat input changes. So if toughness tests are not required. So change from rolled position to fixed position, but not vice versa. So as you can see here, if toughness tests are not required, so it is also an essential variable. So since it was marked, then if this variable change, then you will need requalification. So the reason being here is that a fixed welding position is much more difficult than a rolled welding position. So if you change from rolled welding to fixed position, then it shall require a requalification. Also changing the filler metal group here. will also require requalification since changing the filler metal will affect the mechanical properties of the weld. So based from the choices, the answer here is letter E. Or these two variables here, if changed, will require a new procedure qualification record for that new WPS if these variables are changed.
There you have it. So that's 5 practice questions that will help you during the CWI Part C of the examination for API 1104. So if you want more guides regarding the CWI exam Part A, or some lectures regarding the CWI exam, or just become a better welding inspector by learning how to read welding procedure specification, identifying essential variables, and the like, you can check my channel, and the playlists are in this description. So if you like that video, please subscribe to my channel and comment down below for any questions. See you on the next one.